got a little, thankfully, about gosh, almost 3 weeks at home. I'm pretty excited about that. 2.5 weeks at home. So anyway, I've been traveling quite a bit, as you guys know. I was in recently in South Dakota, speaking to the Cattlemen's Foundation, trying to make some inroads into getting some carnivore research, more carnivore research done. And then subsequent to that, I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, speaking at a large event to quite a big audience, something like 70,000 people on a live stream and several hundred people in the audience. And a fellow by the name of Tim Tebow was there speaking as well. I got to eat lunch with Tim, and we talked about diet. He basically said he eats a very low carb in his dietary scheme. He's a nice guy, as you guys know. And then I was in Los Angeles. I had to meet my wife there. It was her birthday. Let's say Monday, Saturday was her birthday. So I flew in Saturday morning from Tulsa to Los Angeles. We had a nice dinner evening, and then flew home on Sunday. Oh goodness! So well, I might have to move this live here, depending on how noisy it is, because we've got some it looks like some lawn work going to be happening here in a little bit. So anyway, haven't talked to you guys in a while. Let's see if you guys have any questions. Feel free to type them in the comments. I know it's kind of a random time here. I am excited about getting back to work. In the gym. Had all that traveling. All I could do all I did was a bunch of just push-ups and stuff like that. A lot of walking and push-ups. Not it's better than nothing, I suppose. But I'll be excited to get back to the the moving, get some jumping in, get a little strength training in, and probably a little sprinting action, and just kind of trying to, like I said, develop the things that I need to develop to get me to where I want to be. I am making progress on the weight loss goal. Like I said, I want to get down to about 240. I woke up this morning at about 250 almost 251, so down a little bit. I put, that's first thing in the morning. Probably now I'm back up to 255 after eating and drinking. But anyway, so we got a couple of people in here. We got 77 T Adams saying, "Love your channel, Dr. Baker," and Peter Gosenia, hi from Jacksonville, Florida, carnivore for 5 months now. Awesome. Well, I guess I was talking to Tim Tebow. Apparently he lives in Jacksonville. I guess he's still, obviously doing the University of Florida thing, I suppose. Trying to lose weight, middle-aged female, having a hard time with cutting sugar out, says 77 Adams. Well, yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, sugar is very, for many people, have a hard time giving up sugary foods. It is fairly addictive in my view. The things that often are helpful in that regard are obviously eating enough of the proper food so that you don't want this. It's important. And then having a plan, get the stuff out of your house, putting some things in your favor to allow you to be successful. Nav says, can bloating take a while to stop on a carnivore, or does it stop right away on a carnivore? It depends. It can go away pretty quickly depending on what's going on. But I mean, one of the things that can still lead to persistent bloating is fat malabsorption, and that often comes from maybe consuming particularly rendered fat, so grease, bacon grease, hamburger grease, things like that. Even things like some of the dairy fats might do it, or just too much fat, even if it's non-rendered. There are difference between whole fat, which would be like the fat on a steak, versus rendered fat, which would be liquid fat. Are the absorption, speed of absorption. Whole fats take a while to break down, whereas liquid fat pretty much is already broken down as it enters our system. Are you guys hearing a lot of background noise? Just let me know, and I can move potentially, because it's I've got some guys out here that are mowing the lawn, so it might be loud. CK says, hi Shawn. Toka, how are you? I'm not sure what the Toka means, but I'm doing well, quite honestly. Thinking today I'm switching out sugar with pats of butter. That can be a strategy. I wouldn't get too overboard on the butter, but it's just something that you got to figure out a way to stop consuming the sugar, I think, in many cases. All right, Michael says, got any tips for someone who travels all the time and trying to do carnivore on the road, I will buy it, so it makes it kind of difficult to find any places to warm things up. Suggestions. Well, I mean, again, and I'm not sure what your situation is, but I mean, certainly, I think it's perfectly fine to go get a hamburger somewhere, a hamburger patty at any kind of. Most of the fast food places are completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. They don't cook in seed oils. I mean, you think about it, it doesn't make sense for them to cook. Now, the French fries might be fried in seed oil, but I mean, they're burger patties that just don't waste the money. There's no burger patties already have fat. So you think about how much do you if you fry up a hamburger patty in your kitchen, do you coat the pan in seed oil? Probably not, and because there's no point in it. So burger patties work fine. I mean, if it's that thing, if you can't like stop to eat somewhere, and I'm not sure what your situation, I'll often make I'll get a food dehydrator and get thinly sliced steak, and I'll just put that in a food dehydrator, a little salt on it. That makes a good little travel food. Mishko Music says, good to see you. Good to see you. Well, it's good to see you as well. I mean, I'm a pilot, so it's kind of difficult. I mean, I don't know what, like I said, if you're eating on the plane, I don't know if you're like a commercial pilot. I know whenever I'm on a plane and they walk by with the crappy food, I mean, it's like, as you probably know, if you're on a commercial pilot, I mean, it's basically, cookies, crackers, potato chips, maybe they have some sad piece of chicken. I just don't eat that stuff. I just fast, depending on how long the flight is. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, fasting 8, 10, 12 hours should be pretty easy. And that should cover most flights except for some of the most extreme long international flights. Guys, I'm going to move just because it is a little noisy here and I'm having a hard time to stand here. So I'm going to move out into the garage. I was on the back porch, but I'm just going to head over to the garage and sort of change things up a little bit. Maybe go in here. There, it's not so loud. There we go. I'll go in my other sanctuary in my gym and close the garage door. There we go. Let's take a seat here. No, maybe I'll stand. I'll just stand. I'll throw this up here. Be easier for me to stand. I generally prefer to stand anyway, so let me do that. And I always get a question about that. That car in the back is a Porsche, is a Boxster. It's my wife's. I don't even come close to fitting in that thing. So people always go, how do you fit in that thing? I don't. No, I never drive in it. I think I've been in the passenger seat once or twice, and it was like literally a clown car. So, all right. Worst time is in evening. I'm not sure that's about 77. Well, I think that's regarding cravings. Yeah, I mean, there's actually this diurnal variation where ghrelin, which is one of those hunger hormones we often hear about, ghrelin tends to peak around 8 p.m. for a lot of people. Good day, doctor. What did you have for breakfast today? Oh, that's a good question. I had a flat iron steak from Better Fed Beef, and I also had some cottage cheese. So that was my breakfast today. So I am, like I said, I'm leaning out. So cottage cheese is a lean source of protein, which is working okay. All right. Parody Bear, can anyone in the chat name a fruit or vegetable that's good for you? I'll leave it to the people in the chat then. Okay. All right, let's see. Jojo, hi Shawn. My fasting morning glucose is higher now than when I was sad. Is that normal? Well, I think a couple things. And I don't know your history. I don't know if you're diabetic or not. I mean, I think we have to realize that a fasting blood glucose has to occur when we're fasting, right? And I know that sounds obvious, but what a lot of people realize is that when you consume a large protein, like a big steak at night, and again, I don't know what you're doing there, but if you're consuming a large steak at night, you are probably not fasting even 12 hours later. It might take you 16, 18 hours to clear that food fully from your intestines. So you're probably not going to be, truly fasting at that point. So that could be part of it. I mean, that's what I most often see is just people need to, like I said, if you want to just do an experiment, try eating like lunch and then not dinner, and then check your morning numbers and see if it makes a difference. Alicia and John Glass. And just to further elaborate on that point, so if it's not an actual fasting number, then a higher number is kind of normal. If it's 110 or 120 and it's still postprandial, that's still considered within the normal range. Even up to 140 in some cases. Winnie's patty is clean as you're gonna find on the road. I'd use dehydrated meat myself as far as warming stuff, truck stops. Okay, Mishko Music. I've recently been going carnivore and experiencing some tooth pains, gum bleeding, and tartar buildup. Is that normal? Do you have any tips for that? Well, I mean, the tartar buildup for some people, it does seem to occur, particularly behind the lower front teeth is something that I've seen. I mean, I've seen it in myself. Talking to several dentists, there are different types of tartars, and that particular type, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to be harmful to the teeth. But the gum bleeding is clearly not a good thing. Now, what I've seen often is people sometimes, if they're not used to chewing a lot, then just the jaw action of chewing meat, and particularly if you're chewing tougher cuts of meat, can irritate the gums a little bit. So it may just be a matter of you're getting your gums used to that, harder, because if you've been on a softer diet for many years, that may be the difference. But most people on carnivore notice that their dental health overall improves. Receding gums get better, gingivitis or gum inflammation improves. And like I said, in most cases, apparently there's different types of tartar. And some tartar is more problematic for the gums and some aren't. So we've got a little $20 super chat here from Nav. Carnivore day 45, last 14 days in Lion. I have IBS. Been bloating more on Lion. I just eat beef and salt and a little liquid fat. Eating 75, 25 or 70, 30 ground beef patties and ribeye, nothing else. Would I need a lower fat? I would suggest you either break the fat down into smaller amounts. You might eat the same amount of food, but just have smaller doses, or reduce the fat, because what I see, particularly the rendered liquid fat, that will lead to, again, there is a limited capacity for you to absorb fat in one particular go. So like I said, we have this capacity, and if we exceed that, then it tends to just overwhelm our capacity, and then it ends up with bloating, irritation, and often diarrhea. And if you have IBS, you probably, depending on the type, there's, as you know, there's constipation type, there's diarrhea type, and then there's a mixed pattern for IBS. And so it's probably has to do with fat malabsorption, and rendered liquid fat is more likely to do that than whole fat. And then certainly there's even with whole fat, there's an amount you have to do. So I would play with eliminating liquid fat, the rendered fat. I mean, that ground beef you're having. It's probably a good idea to keep it into a patty, but maybe cook it to not as high of a temperature, because you want to maintain some of that fat in there without it being rendered out. So I mean, that's one strategy you might want to look at. I mean, IBS, obviously your gut there's something wrong with it. I mean, there's probably a number of things that are going on there. And so maybe there's like some other co-conditions. Maybe you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Maybe you have concomitant infections of some sort. So those things also may play a role in there. But there will be some microbiome adjustment. But I think one of the most common things I mentioned is probably fat. So anyways, thank you for that little super chat question there. Let's see what else we got here. We've got, all right. Intel, I have high cholesterol, Dr. Baker. My doctor is telling me to get on statins and stay away from animal products. Well, I don't, I don't, that's not surprising to me. Now, whether that's the right advice or not, I can't tell. I don't know your situation. I think first of all, we have to realize, why is cholesterol high? And I think there's actually several reasons why cholesterol may be high or low. And I think it makes a difference why that's the case. Now, if you are obese, we have pretty good evidence, and by good evidence, I mean there's a nice meta-analysis done in January of this year. Adrian Sotomoda did that from Monterey Tech, looking at 41 randomized control trials, and they found that obese people, particularly people with a BMI above 35, so class 2 obesity, when they go carnivore or low carb, we'll see an actual reduction in their cholesterol. Now, if they are sort of overweight or moderately obese, 25 to 35 BMI, often we don't see much of a change with a low carb diet. But if they're lean, we often see a significant, or can see a significant rise in LDL cholesterol. And the question becomes, is that really a problem in that situation? And presuming you're lean and all the other metabolic markers are very good, the answer to that, is that a problem, is I think we don't know. I think there's more and more evidence that seems to map UCLA. And so the initial data seems to suggest that it's probably not the issue, and there's a couple studies now that seem to point in that direction. So, well, let me just. So I don't know where you live, if you're in the U.S. or not, but our company Revero exactly has physicians that deal with this stuff, and they're not going to tell you, hey, you need to cut animal products and go on a statin necessarily. There's probably other options they would perhaps talk about. So if you guys are in a situation where you want a supportive doctor, you can certainly sign up for Revero. It's revero.com. We are licensed in all 50 states. We're primarily starting right now in Florida and Texas, but we will be expanding and opening up those states in a very, very near future. So it might make sense if you want just a doctor that gets it, get on our list, and then hopefully you can have some more support in that regard. Because it's tough. I can tell you that if you do not have a supportive physician, it makes it more difficult to succeed. And I know that because I see it every day. I've done survey data on that on 12,000 people. And we found people that had supportive physicians were about 30% more likely to be successful, which is, I think, significant. All right, what else we got here? We got Patriciarca from Brazil. Good to see you. Parity bag. Can anyone in the chat name? Okay, we talked about that. Would carnivore diet cure my social anxiety? Says Tony Maloney. Well, I don't know. I can't say for sure on people that have had anxiety improve significantly on carnivore. So it could. I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. There's only one way to find out, right? So anyway, 21 Sachin says, good love from India. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. There's quite a few folks in India that are doing carnivore, which is pretty cool to see. All right. Any medical scribe positions available at Revero, says Brandon. No, we don't have any scribe positions at this point, but we're looking basically. We've hired some enrollment advisors. We've hired some coaches. We're hiring clinicians. So I mean, there's some, but I don't think we have any need for a scribe yet, because you're not really. We're not really in a situation where we need scribes. Do I count calories? Says Adam 5383. No, I don't really count calories. I mean, I'm aware of roughly how much I'm eating. Sometimes I'll say I'm going to eat a little less or more depending on my goals, but I'm not in there like tabulating. I mean, do I generally know how much I eat? Yeah, kind of. I mean, so in a way, I mean, and counting calories, it's difficult to be precisely accurate anyway, or extremely precise. Peter Gosena loves short videos, good comedy. Well, thank you for that. All right. 231, why don't I eat deer or elk? Why don't? Well, I do from time to time. And in fact, if you go on my, let me go, I'll tell you, let's do this. Let's do it for fun. Let's go look in my freezer. Why don't we do that here? See what we got in there. I'm just going to walk over there. Here's the gym. This is a good little device. This little tank here. This is that's a good little piece of tray I'll be using today. Let's see. We'll go in here and see what we got in here. Let's see what we got in our. What do we have in our freezer today? We got some stuff in here. This is venison. This is a venison rack. So we've got that in there. What's this one? That's an elk. So yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of beef. A lot of beef in there. I got another freezer there too. So So I do. I mean, I do eat. Let me turn this back around. Where did it go? How do I turn the thing back around? Oh, wait, here we go. So I do eat, you know, game meat from time to time. I don't like it as much because it's just not got enough fat for me. Okay, here's another. How come this didn't show up? Okay, we got Reza going to body asking, what about bananas? The only fruit I eat. So I mean, when you ask about it, I mean, again, I'm not going to tell you what to eat or what not to eat. I mean, it's basically a personal type of thing. You know, what are the potential negatives for bananas? Well, I mean, they tend to be relatively high in sugar. I mean, for those people where that's an issue, like diabetics, people that have maybe mood lability based on their glucose responses. You know, so I mean, it could be fine. I mean, it's one of those things where you just have to see how you do with that. I don't personally eat. Like I said, I know there was a video of me on Thomas Lauer, right, where I ate apples for a week just trying to see what it did to my cholesterol. But in general, I don't eat fruit. It's not that I don't like fruit. I mean, I think it tastes pretty good, but I just don't generally desire it, and it generally doesn't do well for me. It tends to upset my gut, and so I prefer to go without it. So anyway, bananas. I mean, you know, like I said, it's one of those things where if they work for you, it's fine. Make more videos on Dr. Neil Bernard. He speaks a lot of bad stuff about animal products. Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean on Dr. Neil Bernard. I mean, he's obviously a vegan ideologue. I mean, he's tied heavily into PETA. You know, the people's that I think his wife is like a big high up PETA organization. So, yeah, I mean, he's obviously got his ideologic issues. So. But I mean, if there's a specific claim that he's making, you know, I mean, then you can certainly refute that. But all right, okay, we've got Wired Head, Jacob Kenny. I have really bad psoriatic arthritis, and carnivore is the only thing that gets it under control, both on my skin and joint issues. Yeah, I see that pretty routinely with psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis and other skin issues that carnivore seems to be quite healthy. Any diet advice for rheumatoid? Yeah, I think a carnivore diet would be good to do. Try it for 3 months. I mean, that's Roger Becerra, animal-based carnivore. I'm not sure he's referring to. You kind of sound like a robot right now. Bop, bop, beep, beep. All right, what else we got? Okay, let me go over this. This is another, I guess it's a super chat. I'm not sure what these blue ones are. There's some that come in orange, some that come blue. It's not a banned account. It says, can sushi be part of a carnivore diet? Well, yeah, I mean, I think certain parts. I mean, I guess the sashimi, you know, I mean, without all the rice and all the sauces, I mean, just straight up plain raw fish, yeah, it certainly can be. I mean, those other things you start getting into some of the issues you might want to avoid. So, but yeah, it certainly can be. Nathan Downey, I was diagnosed with hip dysplasia. Any advice on how to prepare for an FAO surgery? So, oh no, PAO, periacetabular osteotomy. Okay, PAO. Okay, I thought it said FAO. It's femoral acetabular. So anyway, PAO surgery. My gosh, that's a big surgery for sure, as you probably know. I mean, they're going to basically go in there and reshape your hip socket. So, I would go carnivore. I would increase my protein intake, particularly post-op, because you're going to need that to heal. Carnivore will help you to have less inflammation and probably help you heal your wound quicker. So that's what I would do with that. I don't know when your surgery is, but I mean, obviously strengthening as much as possible the surrounding muscles around there is going to help with post-op recovery and going on and so forth. So illumination, can the diet help you grow taller as a teen? Well, I guess it depends how far along into your teenage years you might be. Yeah, I mean, good nutrition, good high quality nutrition is going to be associated with greater height. I mean, there are a number of studies that suggest particularly dairy products tend to be associated with higher height and growth. So it does seem to have have an effect on that. So yeah, I mean, diet can help you grow as a teen. Now, again, if you're a 15-year-old girl, you're almost there. I mean, if you're a 13-year-old boy, probably more likely, right? Why do vegans think you're the Antichrist? Well, some of them do, I think. I don't know. I think because they're kind of crazy. Okay, we got Wired Head, lost 200 pounds, got off 11 opioid prescriptions, cold turkey, and regained ability to walk, work, and even return to jiu-jitsu after 10-year absence. Well, that's awesome. I'm not sure what made you put on 200 extra pounds, but I'm glad it's off. Parody Bear, yeah, don't break 100 carbs and you'll be fine. I still enjoy something like dark cherry extract on cottage cheese. All right. Roger Becerra, thoughts on an animal-based diet? Well, again, I think it can largely be good for a lot of people. I think any diet that excludes ultra-processed garbage, and I mean, most ultra-processed food is garbage. There's some ultra-processed food that's not as bad potentially, but any diet's going to do that is going to be good. Any diet that's high in high-quality bioavailable nutrition is going to be good. So, yeah, I mean, it can be good. I mean, I think, and many people that go carnivore eventually sort of drift into something that approximates that anyway. So, is it something that, well, I will say this, there are many people where that is not the right diet, that will go from a carnivore diet to a more quote-unquote animal-based diet, adding in fruits and things like that. And it actually makes them do worse, unfortunately. But I mean, it's up to you to find your sort of sweet spot and do something that can hopefully provide you good health and sustainability. All right, omnivorous carnivore GF, I don't know that, maybe it's girlfriend, I don't know. GF has been teaching us about the glycolytic system, which burns only glucose and cannot burn fat, okay? I'm not sure who that is, though. All right, we got Maria Pinto, Doc, retired dental hygienist. The patients I saw that were carnivore or keto had less gingival inflammation and bleeding. Even periodontal pockets were improved. Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly believe that. It makes sense. I mean, you think that, a diet that rots your teeth should be a clue, right? And we know that a sugary diet, a starchy diet ends up with a lot of people with dental problems. Our teeth should last us, certainly our lifetime. And like I said, teeth last to the hardest substance in our body, the enamel is, so we know that. Tulip O'Hare whipped up some tallow. It takes way better whips. Well, good to hear. Andy Emerson, oh, thanks for all you do on Fish in Alaska with your old pal, Dr. Bynum. Oh, James Bynum. Oh, nice. It's true, you know him. I told him you're a celebrity in my opinion. Yeah, James is a good guy. I like James. He was a good guy. He was a couple years behind me in the residency program, but I like James. He was just really he's a good dude. He's a good, solid dude. So tell him, I think he's down in Florida now. But anyway, tell him I said hi. Kirk, deep sumo squats with kettlebell thoughts. I don't have a trap bar or squat rack effective. What would you do with just 70-pound kettlebell pairs? General leg strength needed. Yeah, I mean, you could do goblet squats. I mean, that's certainly a thing you could do. Certainly any kind of single leg exercise. You could do Bulgarian split squats, while holding the kettlebell. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with that. Smith, I'm on carnivore 2 months. Every time I cut out carbs fully within 3 days, I get loose stool. Again, I would look at fiber, not fiber, I would look at the fat content you're eating. There is that adaptation period as well. I mean, so see how you do with that. Don't fear natural sugars in certain fruits. You can't dehydrate and vitalize your body. I barely eat fruit, but how can you turn down an organic avocado compared to Burger King fries? Well, yeah, I mean, I think Burger King fries are certainly worse than that. And again, I think it depends. I mean, some people in organic avocado would cause them issues, so it just depends on who they are. Father, I just want to tell you, Jesus loves you, brother. Well, thank you for that. Wendy, I'm on week 5 of carnivore. I wanted to incorporate pork simply because it's more affordable. Bought some beef from Costco and it was so darn good. I enjoyed it a lot more than even my husband. I don't know how to read that last sentence. Either you enjoy meat more than you enjoy your husband, or you enjoy the meat more than your husband enjoys it. I don't know which one. Hopefully it's the latter, not the former. So anyway, is carnivore good for somebody that has a kidney transplant? Says Shawn Guarisco. Sure, good nutrition is good for everybody. So yeah. All right. Jeff, how are you feeling, Dr. Baker? I'm actually feeling good. I'm excited to get after it in the gym here in a little bit, just because I've been traveling so much. Who's eating sardines? I don't know. I'm not a sardine eater. I don't much care for them. So. Fung has addressed the issue with transplants. You may like what he has to say. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine Jason's probably a fan of low carb diets when it comes to transplants as well. All right, spinach is whack. Dukes and Daughter says hi from Florida. King B Stacker, day 20 on carnivore. I've only lost 8 pounds. Well, I mean, 8 pounds is better than 0 pounds, right? All right. Hi from Zimbabwe. We eat a lot of meat here. Says Borshel Siles. I'm not sure how you say it. Sigils. I'm not sure how you say that last name. Yeah, I mean, just, I mean, similar. I'm sure to South Africa. There's a lot of game and meat down in that whole region. Botswana as well. I've heard is a lot of meat eating in there. So, 1 year on carnivore, lost 70 pounds and off high blood pressure meds. Says Meow Sparkles. Good for you. Freedom March. What are requirements for coaches? Well, for Revero, you're going to have some sort of biology or medical or scientific education to do that. Jacob Kenny, does a carnivore diet cure rheumatoid arthritis? Well, I can tell you that it has been extremely, for some people it put it in complete remission, and it's been extremely helpful for most people with that. So I can't say it's going to help every single person. Daniel says, hi, where do I practice? So I oversee physicians. So I do lifestyle consultations digitally, but I don't actually practice medicine currently. I mean, I have an active license in the state of New Mexico, but I don't use it because my time is, I'm just too busy doing other things. And again, I've got physicians that work underneath me right now. Rune Yitri, I'm not sure how you say that. Apologize for mispronunciation. Greens from Norway, just had some delicious cow cheek carnivores. Great. The future is beast. Very nice. All right. The Defied Julius, what is your testosterone level at? I don't know. I mean, it changes every day, right? So how would you know? I mean, it changes literally every hour, so it's hard to say for sure. My testosterone, the few times I've checked, it tends to run kind of low normal. But honestly, it doesn't really matter that much. I mean, what really matters is the clinical expression of testosterone. How strong are you? How lean are you? How's your sexual function? How's your mental health? All those types of things are more important than the actual number. Because remember, it's a product of two things. The expression of testosterone depends on how much available testosterone is there, plus how sensitive the receptors are. And in my particular patient, I probably have very sensitive receptors because I'm clearly, for my age, almost 60, I'm stronger than, just about every 60-year-old or late 50-year-old person you meet, particularly ones that don't take drugs, which I don't. So anyway, that's the more important question about that is really what's your testosterone function, what's your clinical function like, and that's what's important. All right, we got a $5 soup chat question from Nav asking me, what would you recommend for insomnia besides doing carnivore, which I'm already doing for insomnia? going to bed at a regular scheduled time, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., whatever. When it starts getting dark, you should be getting ready for sleep. Red light seems to induce melatonin, so watching the sunset or simulating the sunset can be helpful. The room you sleep in should be very dark. It should be very cool. 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit is typically what some people suggest. Maybe taking a warm shower 30 minutes before bedtime will often help to cool the body down. So those are helpful. Not eating a big meal late in the evening is also extremely helpful because in that situation you have a lot of basically nitrogen to get rid of. When you consume a lot of protein, particularly at night, well, anytime during the day, I mean, your body has to convert it and expel it in the form of urea, which we get out through water vapor in our breath, sweating, and then most prominently through our urine. So those are some of the things I would primarily look at. I mean, guys like Kirk partially have some supplements that might be of benefit for some people, but I mean, generally, you got sleep hygiene. Get used to dialing in and not playing with your computer or your phone near bedtime. Those things are probably most important. All right, we got Kadashan of Yasharal, Sultan here. We are often working in Lake Stevens and recall that you are nearby. Thanks for all that you do. I'm on carnivore for 8 months, lost 50 pounds, gaining muscle, and feel great. Awesome. Yeah, I'm in Snohomish, which is, kind of the next town over. So, yep. And I sometimes go in there to do jiu-jitsu, although I haven't been in a while. I got to get back out there. What else we got? I need that shirt, Doc. Yeah, I got this. I can't remember who got it. I got this at KetoCon. One of the companies was, I think they're like skincare, deodorant, lotion, tallow company, and I can't remember the name of them, but they had these, and they gave me one of them. That was kind of cool. Did you hear about Dr. Grieger? Amazing vision. Yeah, I've heard about Dr. Grieger. All right, what else we got? Daniel, I can only afford about 70-30 hamburgers. That's all I eat. I do get ribs once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. Ground beef is totally fine. Weren't you the governor of California? No, I'm not. Eggs are cheap, sardines are cheap, liver ain't that much. Yeah, okay, there are some cheap ways you can do it. Do I use toothpaste? I do. Yes, I do use toothpaste. I brush my teeth every day. I use deodorant, toothpaste. All right. Silvira Group, India, only can ask lamb meat. Am I missing something from beef that I've been doing this time for mental health? Lamb should be fine. Lamb is actually quite good. Lamb is probably every bit as good as beef, so I think you should be fine as long as you get enough fatty lamb. Do I use fluoride toothpaste? Typically not. Lynn Tucker, carry man's trying one-handed push-ups because you have to show them how it's done. Yeah, maybe I'll do that at some point. All right, what else do we have? Hey, Shawn, your ferritin levels. Thanks for what you're doing. I'm a big fan. Says JHH. I don't know what they are today. Again, this is like, you guys remember, all these lab values are constantly changing and moving up and down. So one single reading is in my view, almost kind of worthless in many ways. Having said that, the last time I had my ferritin check, it was probably, 280 or something like that. 400 is considered high, at least in the lab I go to. I think I'm fine on that. I think the iron handling really is a reflection of your metabolic health. If you start accumulating too much iron, it's often secondary to low hepcidin levels. Hepcidin is produced by the liver, and it helps us to absorb or not absorb iron, depending on what our needs are. And that is ultimately under the regulation of insulin. And so hyperinsulinemia or low insulin can impact hepcidin levels, which in turn affect absorption. So usually if you're metabolically healthy, your iron levels tend to normalize. All right. Do I recommend a vegan diet? I do not, surprisingly. Kenji, I'm on day 6 of carnivore now. My psoriasis is going away. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, when I looked at people on psoriasis, I got the impression that about half the people see a pretty significant resolution within about 30 days. So that's consistent with that. Ribeye Ranger, 66-year-old carnivore, 5'11", 150, testosterone last year, 438, this last month, 665. Yeah, and again, I don't get too caught up on the numbers, whether they're high or low. I think you should be more, because I see people like bragging about their lab numbers. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? What can you do? What can you deadlift? How fast can you sprint? What is your body composition like? That's more, to me, I think that's more interesting. A lab number is like, it's totally random. It's like bragging about your serum potassium. It's like, it's not like you did anything for that, All right. What else we got? Listen, July 1 July. Yes, it's 1st of July now. Always ready for some good news from Dr. Baker. Well, I think the good news is more people are waking up to the fact that nutrition is incredibly important. They're waking up to the fact that, we're literally poisoning ourselves with our food supply, and people are walking away from that, which I think is incredibly important. So yeah, that's good news. All right, there's a Wired talking about his accident. So he had a bad accident, so put on 200 pounds. Well, I'm glad you got it off. Sorry about the accident. Does cheddar cheese cause constipation? I had loads of it and was addictive as AF. Interestingly, cheese, a lot of people will report that cheese can be associated with constipation. I think part of it, probably a couple of reasons. I think sometimes dairy and the calcium, for some people, is actually leads to constipation. If you take a lot of like Tums, for instance, these calcium carbonate antacids, one of the side effects is constipation. So maybe some, but probably more so is the case of morphones, which tend to be in dairy products, which are analogous in some ways physiologically to opioids, and opioids we know cause constipation. So too much cheese definitely has been associated with constipation for some. All right, Nitter Gritter. Any success with carnivore diet with people with POTS? Yes, we often see POTS, and sometimes that runs with something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And yes, I've seen significant improvements in both those conditions with carnivore. King beef stack or Brazilian beef versus USDA beef, what is your opinion, Doc? I can't say that I've had a lot of Brazilian beef, to be honest. A small percentage of the Brazilian export ends up in the U.S. Of course, if it clears through the USDA, then it's still USDA beef. So not having eaten Brazilian beef in Brazil, I can't comment. I will say that back, 10 years ago, there were some real issues with hoof and mouth disease that some of the beef were experiencing. That was actually banned from the U.S. for, I think Brazilian imports were banned for a period of, several years, I think. So, but I don't know. Obviously Brazil is a huge beef eating nation, as is Argentina and many of the other, Uruguay and Paraguay and a lot of those, South American nations. So I suspect they're both very good. I know that the cooking style, there's that huge churrascaria, asado type situation down there that's quite good. All right. Phil Exman said, I can't find you on a live. I don't do them anymore. Are you following Ben, knees over tees guys to done? Not so much. I do some of the stuff that he recommends, but it overlaps with a lot of other people. I'm really focusing a lot on just plyometric type stuff. I'm sure Ben probably recommends some of that as well. But for me, the last time I dunked, I was 51, and so my goal is to hit it again at 60. I'm like almost 58 now, and some years. The biggest thing's gonna help me to dunk is probably just leaning out, losing some weight, because I was 260. I'm on my way back down to about 240, and then just, I know what I need to do, and it's going to be a lot of extensive plyometrics, some intensive plyometrics, obviously some strength, and a lot of just jumping and a lot of practicing dunking. So I'm fairly confident that I'll get there. Tulip O'Hare, I don't like grass-fed meat. Well, the good thing is you don't have to eat it. I eat mostly grain-finished beef, to be honest. A lot of the grass-finished beef, and it depends. To be fair, some grass-finished beef is outstanding and very good. I've had some really good, some very good grass-finished beef. But, however, I've had some grass-finished beef that certainly lack some things of desire, and it depends on how they feed it. Grain-finished beef is formulaic. It's very much well described. I mean, they know how to do it very well. So, that's the nice thing about it. You're going to get a pretty consistent product with grain finished. What is one sentence I can tell people about when I ask about my weight loss? What about your cholesterol? I just tell them they're asking the wrong question. You should ask them about what about my risk for heart disease? That's a more important question than what is your cholesterol, right? Because most people seem to think it's the same thing. So, Costco has a very tasty ribeye roast. You have to cut into steaks. There you go. A Bible, what is it, Romans 14:2, for one believes he may eat all things, but he who is weak eats only vegetables. Yeah, that's right. So AJ Ganeshi, I guess you can't eat beef for religious reasons. I guess maybe India or something like that. You're Hindu. Yeah, I mean, goat, lamb, water buffalo, if it's allowed. I mean, those are reasonable, are really good options. I think it's important to get some ruminant, red ruminant meat in there. But yeah, eggs, chicken, fish, those things are all good options as well. Tulip O'Hare says, I live in New Mexico. Well, I live there. I lived in Corrales, New Mexico for a number of years. We got Gary Straub. Hi, Doc. Cheryl from Florida. I guess you're using Gary's account, I guess. I've been carnivore for 6 weeks, lost 15 pounds off most blood pressure meds. All right, well, there you go. Good for you. Jason Berry from New Zealand. Well, kia ora to you. 10 days into carnivore, just wow. Thanks heaps for your videos. Winner. Glad you're doing well down there. Yeah, I lived in New Zealand. I lived in Cambridge, New Zealand for a while. Played rugby with Hautapu, the rugby team in the Waikato. So I got to get back to New Zealand one of these days. Hey Shawn, do you feel better training now? You're a carnivore before you're not? No, definitely now. I definitely train. I feel like my training, my recovery, my strength is better as carnivore than it was prior to, for sure. No doubt, absolutely. Are the majority of your meals grass or grain-fed? Said Adam XL. They're mostly grain-fed. Mostly grain-fed. Jake Kenny, autoimmune disease in dogs, would carnivore help that? Yeah, I believe they would, certainly, for sure. Dogs should be eating meat. Quentin Burke, heard of Costco businesses have a lot of New Zealand halal grass-fed beef for a great price. Yeah, I've heard that too. I've heard that they have a lot of, that is an option for halal beef. Anything wrong with grain-finished beef evidence in Rustica? Not really, I don't think so. Ridge Grewer, 1 year, mostly carnivore, now 110 kilograms, and not dropping weight since several months, not doing workouts, mostly ribeye, 600 grams a day. What do I recommend to get rid of my excess fat? I would recommend you exercise. I'd recommend you strength train. I'd recommend you consider cycling in some leaner cuts for, periodically, just to sort of, do that. I'd recommend you maximize the other things that are there, get good sleep. That's an important aspect of it. I would not be sedentary. You know, if you can't exercise, at least stop being sedentary. I mean, again, I don't know. I mean, you know, certainly hop on a consult with me. I mean, you can go to I think the bio, you can book a 30-minute consult. We can talk in detail. Money Long, how old were you when you made the decision to become a doctor? And if you go back in time, would you make the same decision? I was 16 years old when I mean, maybe 15 when I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And I know that because I was studying for the medical college, the MCAT, the medical college acceptance test, when I was 16, which I didn't take till I was a junior in college. So of course I aced the test and got into medical school and on and on. I think I still would have gone to medical school. I'm not sure that I would have went into orthopedics. I don't know, it's hard to say in retrospect. Given what I know now, I really didn't like primary care as I knew it back when I was in medical school, because it just seemed so almost pointless, so frustrating. But now, knowing what I do know now about lifestyle and nutrition, I would have a more rounded background in order to deal with those things. But I don't know. I think I probably still would have. I don't know if I'd go to. I mean, today's medical school, gosh. I mean, they're kind of indoctrinating people in this weird ideology, and it's become so corporatized. I mean, it's medicine's being taken over by corporations, and it's all for profit. It's all a business, and medical independence is becoming harder and harder to practice what I think is what medicine is made to do, instead of just filling in the algorithms. Jason Berry, will carnivore help with my cold urticaria? It's hurting. It's pretty bad. Maybe. I don't know. Only one way to find out, right? What else do we have here? How many weeks, months does it typically take for your gut to transform to digest carnivore well? No, I mean, what do you mean by that? I mean, obviously there's microbiome shifts which change daily or even hourly. There's cell types that'll be expressed. There's upregulation, downregulation of enzymes that are occurring. I mean, I'd say somewhere between a month and 2 months for most people. That's for most people. Now, if you have a damaged gut, IBS, IBD, it could take quite a bit longer, even as much as 6 months. All right, Susie Busden, why am I bruising more easily on the carnivore diet? I'm 9 months in. I don't know. It's hard to say without more information. Just can't say for sure. Maybe you're banging yourself more. I don't know. I don't know for sure. Maybe you have less subcutaneous fat now. I don't know, and your bruises are showing up more easily. Could be hard to say. Does dry aged beef lose vitamins while it's hanging? I don't believe so to any significant degree. Bend over. Haha, can I get a shout out? They're cute. Papa C, 17-year-olds and I broke everything. I've been eating carnivore lion diet for 18 months after 5 months keto. Thank you for the joy you bring with your videos. No one would believe the healing. I'm glad to hear it. I'm not sure what all you broke, but I'm glad you're doing better. All right. All right, Blue Blood, what's the best way to deal with SIBO? Well, I mean, we've seen, there's a paper out of Sweden that Peter Martin did on SIBO, a scientific paper showing resolution with carnivore. So that would be certainly one way important way to do it. Now, it depends on, the type of bacteria that are leading to that. The methanogenic ones tend to do well. That tends to be the majority. So, I mean, carnivore certainly is reasonable. Thanks for all you've done for us. Carnivore 1 year, July 6th, and my health has improved. Says LV Mine, love to mine, or something like that. Just got wisdom teeth removed and can't eat steak. Commentary one. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, hopefully you'll get better soon. Do you smoke or drink ever? No, I don't smoke for sure, and I rarely ever drink. In fact, I had a glass of champagne 2 nights ago on my wife's birthday. We had a nice dinner out, and we had a little glass of champagne. But I generally don't drink. That was probably my second or third glass of wine, basically of the year. So I rarely ever do. Can you tell the difference between liver pain and gallbladder pain, the flat lager? I mean, you might be able to. Obviously, can you physically tell a difference? You could potentially palpate and see where it hurts, and if it's hurting where your gallbladder is, the gallbladder's obviously it's kind of nestled in there on the, just underneath the liver. But so that could be. Sometimes gallbladder pain will radiate into the shoulder. Liver pain might as well, though. So I don't know that you could easily do that. So it's right upper quadrant is typically where those are both located, with some level of radiation. There could be if sometimes the gallbladder, if you're eating a fatty meal and you have pain immediately after that, that could be consistent with cholecystitis. So it could be gallbladder pain. Will eating meat reduce the afternoon crash? It potentially can, for sure. Yep. Victoria, hello. How important is the protein to fat ratio when importing carnivore? It's not unimportant. Certainly, I tell people just get stuff you enjoy to eat, and eat that to satiety, and that usually takes care of most people. Most particularly red meat is going to give you adequate fat. That's usually the thing that many people find is too little fat, sometimes because they're afraid of eating it. However, too much fat can also be an issue. So most people end up between 60 and 80% by calorie, by calorie fat. All right, guys, I'm going to probably shut this one down here. I've got to go back to work, more work. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.